Hi, and I'm Tracy Smart, and I wanted to speak with you today about what is sound healing, what are the benefits, how does it work, and why would someone come to see me for this type of work? So I'm going to start with sharing my screen. I've prepared a presentation for you to take us through today how sound healing works. And we're just going to start talking about I like to call it like the path of breakthrough, because sound healing really allows us to use the vibration of a tuning fork at a specific frequency to start making waves, you could say, and is exactly what a tuning fork does. It makes waves that resonate out and start to vibrate other things that are within its path onto the same resonance. And so we're going to talk about how healing is a vibratory process of waves that are penetrating different layers of our subtle energy body, which there are 7 subtle energy bodies within our aura or field of consciousness. And that fork is tuning, or you could say retuning them into a resonance to their natural state, and meaning that we are bringing these states of consciousness into an alignment. And when we bring into resonance, any interference that is in the system is broken up and leaves that system. And tuning forks all have a specific frequency, a resonance that when struck will send a vibration of a sound wave out in all directions and entrain in anything in their path to that resonant frequency of the fork. And you could call this an activation of the frequency that is finding what is not in tune with the natural frequencies of life. Tuning forks allow us to break up areas of interference, or you could say stuck energy patterns, thought forms, belief forms, emotional forms held within us, even our cells, because on a cellular level, all cells are basically on the outer membrane, huge antennas that are reading the frequency of us and matching it. And so what the tuning fork allows us to do is break up patterns of expression within our body that's been creating some sort of disease, whether it's in the body, in our mind and thoughts, or even within our heart and how we feel. Sound is a resonance. Resonance is when one object vibrating at the same natural frequency of a second object forces that second object into vibrational motion, meaning to resound, to sound out together with a loud sound. So these are a picture of the forks that I use. One set. This is a set that we would use off of the body. These are forks to be used in the subtle energy fields, the fields of the aura that you can't see, but hold tons of information that allow us to kind of read kind of like a story, the story of you and where you are right now in your consciousness. And so once a fork is struck and the vibration is released, all in the path will begin to vibrate and then entrain into this sound that the wave is moving into that path. And as this happens, the interference in the system is cleared out and the cells are reset. And you could say that this is like a factory reset. And it allows us to bring ourselves into our true state of being, like who we naturally are, instead of the interference that we have been interfered with, you could say, by social conditioning, the conditioning of living in our family when we were young, friends, the media, social media, all of the things we're bombarded with different information that kind of causes us to think that we're different and needing to mimic the rest of what it's telling us we should be like so that we can fit in. And so this factory reset clears our minds of conditioning, it clears our bodies of emotional patterns that are stored deep within, and they're like triggers of habits we live in our life when we feel certain emotions or when we think certain thoughts. And this factory reset takes us to a state of who we really are and aligns our mind to be in resonance with our divine nature. meaning we are in a new flow and vibration and thus cannot emerge back to what we were before we were tuned. So we're gonna see if we can watch this video together.
Shockwaves from a punch can do damage to the human body. Now we're going to time warp at 10,000 frames per second to see how sound waves destroy glass. Jamie Vendera is famous for using the sound of his voice to destroy wine glasses. They seem to simply explode. But what's happening?
I know the sound waves broke the glass, but I couldn't see how. So I'm going to use our slow motion camera to see what we were missing. Instead of singing, I'm going to use a speaker and a tone generator. I have to find the natural vibrating frequency of the glass. I have to match this tone. That's it.
This is the exact tone to make this particular glass vibrate. When the tone is loud enough, the glass will shatter.
I can feel the glass shaking, but I can't see it. If I add a straw, then it's more obvious.
So what's happening here? The straw gets tossed side to side, but I can't see why.
Let's record it while I crank the volume. Took 10,000 frames per second, and I took 1 second. If I were to play back this whole video, it would take 8 minutes to get through.
Oh, this is amazing. What felt like the whole goblet vibrating is actually the rim bending back and forth, 337 times a second, the same rate as the sound waves. If I draw in the sound waves, you can see what's happening. One wave comes out of the speaker and pushes the side of the wine glass. The glass bounces back just when another sound wave pushes it again. If the timing or frequency of the sound waves is exactly right, the motion will build until the glass breaks.
Wow. So, as we would expect, the speaker breaks the glass nearest to it. And immediately we see a crack that goes all the way around the whole bottom of the frame. I'm going to play that back again. This is where the initial fracture happens, right nearby the speaker. And in about 3 frames, and this is 3/10,000ths of a second, we see the crack go along the bottom where the glass gets thicker and come right back up to the top where it's thin. So if we follow that a little more, this piece has just fallen off, but it doesn't in some sense even know that it's fallen off from the rest of the glass. All of the glass was shaking at about 300 hertz, 300 vibrations per second. And this piece is still doing that. You can see the corners of the glass still flexing as if they were influenced by the speaker, but the speaker is way too far away now to have that influence on this piece. It just has the leftover inertia. And we see that in all the pieces here, even along the top edge of this glass. This piece of glass is not resonant at that frequency anymore, so it can't get energy from the speaker. And all that we see shaking is the leftover energy from what the speaker gave it in order for it to break.
So, if you thought that glass couldn't bend, think again. Time warping changes the way we see the world because it makes the invisible visible.
And we're going to see one more video that shows us how resonance works. So the last video showed us how interference in a system could be broken up using the fork. And the wine glass is like the interference. You could say like a static, something that's interfering with the operation of the normal functioning of the system. It's almost like it's in a constriction. and the tuning fork comes in and vibrates it to shatter. And once the glass shattered, it's not coming back together. We're not going to have a glass of wine after we shatter the glass, nor are we going to be exactly the same as we were before the tuning fork entered into our field of consciousness. It's going to break up whatever frequencies in the lower bands were kind of operating in tune with a lower vibration, causing us to experience life in maybe some unpleasant ways, not maybe feeling confident in ourselves, or feeling like we don't fit in, or feeling like we're just frustrated and angry and we just don't feel like we're in a flow, or maybe we feel stuck and we just don't know where we're going, what we're doing. There's this confusion in the system. It kind of feels like we're in a fog. So this particular video next is going to show you how resonance works, meaning the entrainment of one fork entraining something that is on the same frequency band to its frequency.
The demonstration we're talking about today is resonance. What happens when an object is forced to vibrate at its natural frequency? This tuning fork has a natural frequency of 256 hertz, and this tuning fork is adjustable. Right now, it's set to 256 hertz as well. When I hit this tuning fork and point the boxes at each other, the sound waves from this tuning fork will cause this box to vibrate. When that box vibrates, it makes the tuning fork vibrate. So when I do this, I'm going to hit this tuning fork, but you can still hear it vibrating. A lot of times people think it's the original tuning fork still making noise, but it's the other one. What's happening is the sound waves from this tuning fork are actually causing the paired tuning fork to vibrate.
Okay.
The demonstration.
So basically, that means that when the tuning fork is being struck, whatever system or section of your subtle energy field that should be on that same vibration of that fork, when the wave passes into that system, it is going to vibrate that system and tune it to the same frequency. And we call that also entrainment. So I wanted to talk about entrainment a little bit. Entrainment is defined by a temporal locking process in which one system's motion or signal frequency entrains the frequency of another. And this process is a universal phenomenon that can be observed in a physical way, which we're going to watch another video next about how pendulum clocks can do this, or we see it in other biological systems like fireflies, and all humans have this ability also within themselves, because our current state of being entrains our world to the frequency we are emitting, meaning that the people we see, the experiences we have, are all matching a vibration we are emitting into space, drawing those experiences to us. Now, I'm not saying that anyone wants to be in a situation where they're hurt, or where something doesn't feel safe, or where they feel like they're living in a miserable, stuck life. What I'm saying is, if we can become aware that this is what's happening, it isn't anything in our outer world that's bad. It's just that we don't want to be on this level anymore. We don't want to kind of be harmonizing with these energies that we have been in our life, and we want to move higher above. We need to understand that it's these lower levels of vibration that we emit within us, those feelings of fear, guilt, rejection, feeling separate and alone, despair. Those all bring us specific experiences to continue to feel those things. So what do we do here with tuning forks is we are finding those interferences, those lower vibrational frequencies, and then we are entraining them to a higher vibration, so that we remove the low frequency states that we are creating through stress, survival, fear, and we are entraining to our world in the systems that we see in our life. And we're removing that interference with the fork to create a new higher resonance, a harmonic resonance that allows us to make new decisions, have new experiences, meet different people who treat us with respect and value us. It can even allow the people who are currently in our sphere to see us in a whole different light because we are emitting a whole different vibration. And we begin to see change as a gift. And we embrace that all life is changing in every moment. And we too can find and flow in the groove of life. And it's kind of like we start to ride the wave in harmony. So we're going to go through and now see a quick video of entrainment and how that works. There are 5 pendulums in this metronomes, and they are all moving at different times when it starts. And they're on an elevated platform. And within a few seconds, you're going to start to see that they all become into harmony, even though they started at different times. They will entrain together to form a rhythm. And this is really important because we all should actually be within the same rhythm. And now they're all moving together in a harmony. They're going the same speed, the same rhythm at the same time. They're all marching to the same tune, you could say. It's a synchronicity, and this is what we see in nature. And you could say we as people get out of this rhythm, and we must be re-entrained to it. And all nature is seeking this harmony, this rhythm. And now it's talking about how when we are in rhythm, we are in a synchronicity within our brain. And we really look at the synchronicity we are having with our heart. And come on. Not letting me move forward. There we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about next the 7 energy bodies. We perceive this as the aura. This is what this is known as. But each layer, you could think of them like rings of a tree, and they extend from the physical body itself, and they extend out and out and out. And we want them to kind of be around 6 feet or more. They're like our warning system of how we interact with our world. They are a communication system, you could say. So what are the 7 energy bodies? They are the physical body, the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, the buddhic body, the atmic body, and the modantic body. All right, what does that mean? So the 7 energy bodies, the first one is your physical body. And in the physical body, it is our physical form. And it is a plane of stored knowledge in our DNA of all memory of humanity. You know, ever heard of that term called junk DNA? Well, that's what they couldn't figure out what the junk was. It's information. It's about everything we've all felt and gone through together, and it's stored there and activated through ancestral lines. It is a vibration. It is a frequency. And it is connected to a subtle field that we call the etheric field, which is an energy field that can't be seen, but it exists as an aura around the physical body, and it's the closest ring that is just right off the body. And this aura holds information from your life experiences as well as the ancestral experiences of the people from the past. The physical body holds and stores emotions, thought forms, and beliefs from ourselves and our ancestors. And we experience this stored information in our experiences within our relationships to our outer world, and also the relationship we have with ourselves and in our inner world. And our experience our whole world through the language of feelings and emotions. And when we fear our feelings and avoid processing them, we store them inside the physical body and experience them as pain in the physical body. And they get stored as chemicals. They can be stored for minutes, days, months, and many, many years, and they stay there to protect us until we are ready to feel them and let them go. It is a mechanism within the body that helps us move through life. Next, we have the astral body. This is the second ring out from the immediate body. And it is the emotional body, which collects, stores, and transmits all human emotion, desires, and is experienced as pain and pleasure. This body is most active during our sleep, and it communicates to us through dreams. You could say these are our base desires that sometimes we have self-denial that we have, and they're working their way through our dreams. And think of this layer as all of our emotional impulses. The mental body, the next layer, this is your thinking body, and it is connected to your mind and the collective mind of all humanity because we are all entangled. The mind emits waves of energy, and those energies are thought forms, and those thought forms are able to be picked up by anyone in the world truthfully. So if you thought your thoughts were private, well, they kind of are not. It takes our desires from the astral body that are unfulfilled, and it represses their impulses, which can lead to health issues of mental, emotional, and physical illness within our life. And this body can feel like it's weighing us down. It's weighing us down by the conditioning of so-called rules that humanity has, all these rules and laws about everything and life. And it doesn't really allow for a lot of freedom within thinking and our mind. This is the habit mind, or we call it the subconscious mind. Science kind of shows us that about 90 to 95% of our mind is the habit. Subconscious mind, it is a conditioned programming mind, meaning they're like little apps that are programs running within your mind that are selected based off of emotional triggers, just awarenesses of certain aspects of things you've experienced in the past can trigger these. You do one every day that you learned when you were about 1 year old, and you don't think about walking, but your habit mind just takes over and can walk better than you could ever think it. So depending upon these programs running in the background, they form all the chemistry that goes on in our body and interface with how it works and functions. So either we're creating chemicals and chemistry that enhances our life and well-being, or we're creating chemistry that degrades our well-being, causes those diseases, causes the unhealth. And you could say that happens when our goals, our dreams, and our wishes are not in alignment with that habit mind, and they are at odds. That means that we are not creating the life of our dreams. In fact, we are unknowingly creating the opposite most times. The causal body is another name we call it is the soul. It is also the heart center. And the soul holds the knowledge of the true nature of humanity written in a language of light. And this is a memory, and it's seeking opportunity for each of us to remember who we truly are and our true nature of unconditional love and acceptance. And the soul provides opportunities for us to have learning experiences and move in an evolution from our lower base fears and worries and elevate to a higher understanding and a place of acceptance and forgiveness. Meaning that the soul is our guide back to wholeness. And when it is ignored, it speaks to us louder within our body and within what we experience in life, until we no longer can hide from it, and we must face and accept what we fear most, our pain and our suffering. And the more we ignore our pain, the more intense it will be coming to get our attention. And thus our body is a communication system, letting us see what we must accept within ourselves. The Buddhic body. This is a frequency of the pure truth of humanity, that we are all one single organism breathing in the rhythm of life, meaning we are not separate from life, nature, or other humans, or even ourselves, but entangled at all moments, meant to breathe in and out in a rhythm as one breath in harmony. And we are connected through invisible threads of energy. We influence each other, we influence our earth and all that are upon it through our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And either we are breathing rhythm in the state of flow with all of life, or we are out of sync with the flow of life and feeling the resistance. This body is an expression of universal love, compassion, and grace. And grace is to honor equally ourselves and others, to honor all life on earth as if it were us, to do no harm to others, to do no harm to ourselves. Universal love is to accept every aspect of ourselves and to accept that life does have pain and suffering, to face it and accept it, to not fear living life, to embrace it. The atomic body, and this is our access to the divine mind, our higher states of consciousness, and this access point has been named the third eye. It sees from all directions and angles. It's nothing hidden. You could say like it sees everything and everything from any angle, and it sees all truth that is available to be known when it is highly activated. And to access this truth is to trust and have your heart open to receive. The heart must be open for this to be activated. The third eye is a radio receiver, and in the physical body, it's associated with our pineal gland. And the pineal gland is a pine cone shaped gland in the center of our head, located directly behind the eyes. And it is more known for our circadian rhythms, the ones that, you know, we're awake when the sun is up and we're asleep when the sun is down and it's dark. And a neurotransmitter named melatonin, you've probably heard of, gets produced to help us have a really great night's sleep and repair our body. In higher states of consciousness, other chemicals are produced within this gland that change the frequency states of our brains, which help us be more in tune to the information streaming into us from the divine. And the pineal gland also has a magnetic aspect to it, which means it helps guide us on earth to walk our path. In birds, for example, this is the mechanism that allows them to migrate across huge distances and know the way to where they're going, even if they have never been there before, especially, you know, the babies that were born in the spring and their migration in their first year, they have never been to where they're going or their breeding grounds or whatever. They just have a magnetic image that is like homing them to it. And we have this as well. It is our internal guidance system through the magnetic currents of the earth. And then we come to the monadic body, and this is the last layer out at the edges of the aura. It is the spirit, is the divine consciousness itself. It enters through our causal body, which is our heart. Again, the heart has to be open to reach these higher states of consciousness, and this opening of the heart is something we work on with our tuning forks, because as we move through life and we experience hurt and trauma and relationships that causes pain, and we contract ourselves, we find that we close down our heart in some way, or we have chains around it, or we put walls around it, or we rip it out of our chest to stop hurting, and we disconnect from these higher states, and we're stuck in the murk and the mire of the lower states and don't understand why there's so much confusion. And the divine spirit is actually present in every atom of every cell in our body and in everything in life on this planet. It is everywhere. It is even in the air that we breathe. It is what we cannot see. And this translates to what we would call divine will. This is our free will, meaning we are the creators of our experience here on earth, and we are either creating our heaven on earth or we are creating our own hell on earth. And source energy, divine energy is static and is constant. It's constant in the universe. It is fixed, meaning it does not move and cannot experience itself directly. Thus, it has created us as a mirror of itself so that it can experience itself, because we can move. And this is why we have free will. We are the dynamic expression of divine energy. We are what moves, and we are here to experience all that life has to offer. And we are energy in motion, or emotion. It is when we repress our emotions and our feelings that we cut ourselves off from life and feel separate. The truth is, we are never separate, even in our darkest moments of despair and avoiding pain of our feelings. Even in those moments, we are protected and surrounded by the divine energy in every cell of our body. However, we have free will to live our lives as we choose, whether that is in a state of disconnection or a state of connection. The divine does not judge. It does not say one is better than another, for therefore it would be judging itself. The divine loves and accepts us in all moments, even when we are not in an understanding of this connection and in our deepest suffering. Because that love is so deep and so unlimited, it allows us to evolve in our own way and in our own time. It knows we are perfect in all moments, even when we think we are not. This is the state of unity for the divine, which is perfection, and we are part of the divine, thus perfect in our mirror image. Where we as humans experience life in a state of duality, however, thinking we are separate and seeing everything as two different sides. The monadic body sees everything as one, a unity, meaning that there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no up, there is no down, there is no good, there is no bad, there just is. This is the ultimate state of living in the now, the present moment, knowing you are on the path, and at all moments you trust you are protected and loved. Knowing you have an internal guidance system to help you make slight corrections, course corrections I like to call them, along the way when you intuit what does not feel right to you, or feelings that aren't your natural state. And this is a place where we come to understand that we have always been on the right path, and you are always been on course. However, the frequency in which you experienced your path is what varies and changes. And to know you are in training and resonating a frequency that is always bringing you your life energy and experience. And it is as you raise your vibrational frequency that your life will be experienced on a new level. The path did not change. Just what you encountered along the path is what changes. And this is a chart of the 6 tuning forks that I mostly work with, and each of their frequencies in hertz. So we use UT 396 hertz, which resonates with the root chakra, which is also very entrained with the physical body. It is a place where we liberate ourselves from constriction, fear, the things that hold us down and keep us from being our true self. Ray, orange fork, 417 hertz. It is the sacral chakra, is its resonant frequency. This one here is like where we let go of the fears of change. We embrace change. We see how everything is changing all of the time, and that we are just in a constant flow of evolution. And it is when we try to hold and control and not move forward that's where we feel resistance, tension, and pain within ourselves. Gold, 528 hertz, solar plexus. This is our emotional realm of where we are either digesting our emotions or we literally are not digesting our emotions, and it manifests a lot within our digestive systems and how we are assimilating life is very much how we are assimilating food. So if we are not in the flow of life, we're probably not in the flow of digesting our food. 639 hertz, the green fork. This is the connection center, the heart center. It is our relationships. It is our connections to ourselves and to others. And it truly does affect our respiratory system, our heart, blood pressure, anything and everything that has to do kind of with the upper core. Blue, 741 hertz, is expression. It's our voice. It's how we speak our truth or not speak our truth. A lot of times we're conditioned to be silent, where we repress our voice, and in other times we are very reactive with our voice and over the top and can alienate ourselves. And so this is about bringing our true voice back to us so that we can express from our heart. And it has to do with the thyroid, the esophagus, anything that's within the throat, parathyroid, neck, colds, things like that. We have purple fork, 852 hertz, the law fork. This is the third eye. And this is where we get to see with something that is more knowing and bigger seeing than just our eyes or just our mind. This is opening that third eye and letting all of the knowing of the universe come down into us as a filter through frequency so that we can interpret life from a higher state of being. Okay. And so all of these forks, how do we use them? What do we know? When to use them? How to use them? What does the session look like? So I wanted to talk about that. So every session, every sound healing session is different, and there is no duplication of any session for any person. And that is because every person is unique in their expression and has a unique winding and knotting of how they experience the wounds of humanity and the wounds of themselves, and how it constricts their energy from flowing freely. And so it isn't like you're going to come in and I'm going to say, we're going to start from point A and go to B, C, D, E, and we're going to just finish. And it's like, we know exactly where we're going to start and where we're going to finish. Nothing truly in life is linear, although our mind likes to think in a linear fashion. But actually, when we think in the form of like knots and entanglement, we have to kind of just find the strands that need to be pulled first to start loosening that tightly held knot so that we can eventually just let it all go. And so each session will ground you to the pulse of the earth, that sacral breath, that rhythm of the earth, of all life. And then we'll do a muscle test where we will ask you a question of what fork is in your highest and best interest to use today, and unraveling those knotted constrictions within your energy field. And that will help us narrow in on the fork of our session. And we will ask, what path will we take down the body to find the areas of restriction where the energy is stuck and not flowing? And once we have our path and the fork that we're going to use, I will strike the fork and we will entrain it and listen it to one ear at a time. First your ears, one at a time, then my ears, one at a time. So we are entrained together to that this is the frequency we're working with today. And by entraining through the ear, it also is this place where we set into motion that even though we may finish the visit in our hour session, what has started will continue till it's completed, way past when you leave this office. So once we do that and we have our path, I will take the fork and start moving it about 2 to 4 inches off of your body. And we will find the areas of where, as I move through your body, where I feel heaviness. It's kind of like it feels weighted down and I can't move the fork. It's like I'm entering a fog and then there's this density and I can't move past. So once we find those places, we will stay in that place and let the fork harmonize, resonate, entrain, and break up any interference in that section while I read the language of the fork. I can hear within the fork, it speaks to me, kind of why we're here, what is it about, what are some of the emotions that you feel in this area that we can breathe out and let go. It brings up a very specific issue that you deal with in your life, maybe on a pattern basis that comes around multiple times. You've experienced it through your life in different ways with different people in different instances, but it's the same pattern. This happens, then I feel this, then this happens, and then this happens, and I'm like this. And it's just on a repeat ever so often. And then at the end of the area that we've cleared, when I feel it lighten and that I can move, we will affirm a new thought, belief that is in harmony with your now, with your heart, of what you would like to put in there. And since we removed that interference, habit, mind, static that was not in harmony. And then we will keep moving through the session as far as we get within our hour. And I always digitally record the sessions so that if you are missing something I'm saying, or a person who likes to cement it later by listening to it again and going through the session again, that's available to you. I end the session with what I call integrating everything we've worked back into your solar plexus through making an infinity symbol around the upper energy field of your body, bringing back into wholeness. And then I will reground you to the earth. And I do this to just reaffirm and discharge anything that we're ready to let go of today. Resetting again that breathing pulse to the earth that you are in harmony. And then my next thing that I really like to do is lastly affirm that you are allowing the universal truth and knowing to enter through the crown into your awareness so that you can get your ahas as you move through life instead of feeling like you're in this fog and confusion. And then I will usually ask the right timing for our next session. That is in your highest and best good. And some people, are on like a 2-week cycle where they kind of process through what we let go of in one session. It takes them about 2 weeks to like completely let it move through and out, where other people it takes 3 to 4 weeks. So it really is different for each person. And then I will get your recording to you by the end of the day of our session. Usually if you're the last session of the night, it might be the very next morning. And then a lot of times within our session, we will pick up a theme or something that you need to be aware of, or maybe start practicing to help you move forward out of the static and create healthy habits in your life that are in alignment with your hopes, wishes, and dreams. And so then we will recap that at the end of the visit and set anything into motion that you need to work on until I see you next. And when I say work on it, I mean practice, because you can think of it as something you've never probably done before. Therefore, you need to do it in repetition so that you get it into that habit where the body does it better than you could ever think it, just like walking. And so that is our presentation that I wanted to show you today on sound healing. It is probably by far my favorite modality of anything I've ever learned, and anything that I have integrated within my practice. It is the thing that I see the highest and best, fastest results for people in being able to change their awareness, let go of the past, stop fearing the future, and just kind of walk in the moment and enjoy their life. So I'm excited to share it with you. And I always like starting with a free consultation to get to know you, see what's going on, see what modalities I provide would work for you. Are we a good fit? And make sure that we have that understanding of what we would work on together before we get started. So if this is your first time and you've never been in our office and treated with me, start with the free consult. But I wanted you to understand what sound healing is. So thank you for taking the time and learning something new.